How's everybody today? Good, good. Well, I'm sure that everybody is excited about this week. It seems like we've been practicing for a long time. We're excited about having an opener neutral site game in Orlando at the Capital One Bowl against a very, very good, historically good coach in Bobby Petrino and team in Louisville. I think the big question for the players is, how do you respond to getting ready for a game? It's one thing to go out and practice every day, and the consequences of, what happens are not all that great. You make a mistake, you try to correct it. But now, how you prepare, the energy that you sustain, the mental intensity that you prepare with, helps you develop the confidence you need to go into the game and know exactly what you have to do, how you have to do it, why it's important to do it that way, which requires, a lot of commitment, but also discipline that you practice with and you play with that helps you prepare that way. And you never know how people are going to be able to sustain their effort, energy, and intensity when it comes to a game, because different things happen in a game. Good plays happen, bad plays happen. How are you going to respond and be able to sustain your level of energy and focus regardless of what happens in a game? So these are all questions that are sort of almost personality, identity questions that every team has to sort of answer for themselves in terms of their commitment, how important it is to them, how they go out and prepare, and then how they're able to sustain when the game comes in terms of playing disciplined, together team football. Everybody doing their job and everybody understand the importance of doing that. So, Louisville, to me, has an outstanding team. I've already mentioned Bobby Petrino. We all have a lot of respect for him as a coach, playing against him when he was at Arkansas. He's done a great job at Louisville with the program that they have, the wins that they have. Very, very good offensive coach. They averaged over 38 points a game last year in the ACC, which is a pretty good conference, and they got a lot of returning players back from a year ago. I think 7 or 8 starters on offense, depending on how you couch the running back situation that they have. They do have a new quarterback, but when he played last year, he was very poised and played very well for them. And Jawan Pass, who is a guy that we know well, that we recruited here. Their top skill guys at receiver, are all back. Their offensive line is back pretty much intact. So this is going to be a real challenging game for our defense. This is an offense that, hung 60 points on Florida State at one time and, went into Clemson and, scored 40 points or whatever. This is a very, very challenging team when it comes to offense and our preparation that we need to have on defense. Defensively, they have a new defensive coordinator who I'm sure is going to, help improve what they've been able to do on defense. And they've always played with a lot of energy and enthusiasm and toughness. And we're going to have to do a great job of executing on offense and score points. And that's the number one thing that, we need to be able to do in any game, but especially in this game. Take care of the football. Don't turn it over. Execute. Everybody do their job. Take advantage of the opportunities that the defense gives and be able to finish drives and finish plays in the game. So this team also has all their specialists, returning punter, kicker, who's very good, long snapper, and they're very, very well coached on special teams. So this is going to be a challenging game for us against a really, really good opponent. And I think our players need to have the proper respect and prepare well this week for what's going to be a very challenging game.
Coach, we'll start over here on the right with Ben.
Just kind of big picture wise, I wanted to know what you've seen from the quarterbacks throughout fall camp and kind of how that has gone, how those guys have handled themselves.
Those guys have done a great job. They both have done a good job in fall camp. And, we're excited about the progress that both guys have made and what they're capable of doing.
Coach,
Could you elaborate on the kicking situation? It looks like you have Joseph that's handling the place kicking, and then Austin doing the kickoffs.
We haven't made that decision yet. All right, so, we'll keep letting both guys kick this week, and we'll sort of see what happens.
Go right here with Dwayne.
Coach, obviously you're in game plan for Louisville. What do you want to see from Jalen and Tua going into this rest of this week and helping you prepare for them?
Well, I think, the coaches want to do a good job with both players, getting them both well prepared for the game, and so that they can go out and play well when and if they get the opportunity to do that. So we don't expect anything different from them as any other game, any other preparation, or any other player on our team in terms of how they prepare for the game and what they go out there and do every day in terms of their execution, and continuing to try to win the confidence of the players around them, that they'll do a good job at their position of distributing the ball, and that's, to me, what the quarterback needs to do.
Stay on the left, or we'll go to the left with John Zener.
I'm going to assume we're probably going to find out Saturday who's starting when they come out on the field.
I don't think you should assume anything. I don't. If I'm ready to tell you, I'll tell you. If I'm not, I won't. All right, so you can assume that.
Well,
Is that fair?
competition seems to make the teams and individuals better at any position. But have you seen from both those guys that they've kind of improved through this battle?
Well, I think both guys have focused very well. I don't see guys looking over their shoulder, worrying about what the other guy's going to do. They just try to do a good job when they're in there, which I think is the best way for them to develop the kind of confidence that they need, and focusing on what they can control, which is their performance, not what somebody else does.
We're on the right with Tony.
Just to be clear, though, is the plan to play both quarterbacks during the game against Louisville?
No, nobody said that. I mean, I don't know where did that come from, just to be clear.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
not to be clear, is the plan?
Look, none of that's been decided yet. So I wish we could talk about something else, because I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Go over here with Alex.
Defensively, given some of the losses, especially in the middle of your defense, how difficult can it be preparing for a guy like Pass at quarterback that can do a lot, and what do you expect from the ability of your defense there?
Well, Alex, I will say this. This is, the first good question that we've had, and should be what everybody's concerned about. You got an offense here that scores 38 points a game. We got almost all new guys playing on defense, and, that is definitely a challenge, for us, that not only the quarterback, the skill players they have, the balance that they have on offense and the way they were able to run the ball a year ago, as well as throw it effectively, score points against just about everybody they played against. So, yeah, there is I wouldn't say it's a concern, but I'd say, how are we going to establish an identity on defense with the players that we have? They're going to play together. They're going to be able to sustain performance. If something bad happens, are they going to respond the right way? I mean, these are all things, to me, that take a lot of discipline and mental toughness to be able to play for any player. But when you have a lot of new players, that becomes, something that they have to prove that they can do. And that's going to be something that we'll be watching very closely in this game. And I don't think we're ever going to know it until we play a game.
Go to the back with Cecil.
Coach, Alex Leatherwood is on the administrative grouping as both a guard and a tackle. What does his flexibility do for your offensive line, and are there other players who will also shift? Well,
I think that because we felt really good about the tackle position, and then Matt hurt his foot again. So I think flexibility in the offensive line allows you to put the best 5 players out on the field. So that means somebody has to play guard, somebody has to play tackle, somebody that plays guard might have to play center, vice versa. And so we feel good about that part of it. He spent a lot of time at right tackle. He spent time at left tackle. And he's made a nice transition to being able to play guard. Deontay probably is the next guy that we would want to get in the game to play inside if something happened to someone. And we also like the progress that Chris Owens has made as a center and as a tackle. So he has diversity in what he can play, and hopefully, when we get some of these guys back, we won't have to have as many guys have to play multiple positions, but I think it's critical right now.
Go front here with Kurt.
Coach, you mentioned Coach Petrino, and you coached against him, of course, before at Arkansas. When you're preparing for a first game, is that one of the things you would look back on those days, or is that too far back?
Well, I don't have to look back on, everybody was a little astonished, I guess would be the right word, that I could call up every play we busted on when we were playing against them and they made big plays without looking at the tape, formation, motion, play, whole thing. So I don't think there's any question about the fact that you always want to keep a history of when you played, a certain style, a certain coach, that, you look at what he did and how he tried to attack you, and it's no different in this case.
Go front here with Mark.
Just what do you see from Patrick Surtain, and how ready is he to contribute to the team?
Patrick's done a nice job. He's really made a lot of progress. We were playing him at star and corner early on. We've sort of tried to zero him in a little bit more at just, playing corner. And he's done a nice job. And I have confidence that if he has to go in the game and play, that he'll be able to do a good job for us.
We've got two more, starting back with Steven.
Johnny Dwight's kind of been more of a veteran guy here. What have you seen the biggest improvement from him on that defensive line, Johnny Dwight?
Johnny has spent a lot of time here, and he's really had a good camp. He had a good spring. We need Johnny Dwight to be able to play and get minutes in the game, and he has done well and responded to that challenge, and we're hopeful that when he goes in there, he'll play well and develop more and more confidence, but we have a lot of confidence in him right now.
Coach, we're going to wrap up with a follow-up from Alex.
Just speaking generally here, but what benefit do you see from allowing players to possibly compete for a job in games, during games? Just, you mentioned the kickers earlier or other positions. What benefit do you have in your experience allowing them to compete like that in live games?
Well, I don't know that any player, whether you have a starter, I think every player is competing in a game. Last year, Trayvon Diggs started against Florida State, and we put Levi in the second quarter, so we had a starter, all right, and based on competition that the guy we put in, we thought could play well. So I don't really understand, just because you guys look at this depth chart, all right, okay, these guys are starters until something bad happens to them and they can't start anymore, and then the next guy gets a chance to play. Next guy still has a chance to beat him out. Next guy's still competing. Next guy still wants to play. And that kind of competition, I think, helps the other players play better and helps you play better because you're more challenged. The worst thing you can have on your team is not have competition where guys think, well, I got this. I don't have to practice hard. I don't have to work hard. I don't have to prepare very well because I'm going to play no matter what happens. So everybody's competing every day. I mean, we're competing every day to try to get better and to get everybody better. I mean, that's what we're doing. And regardless of what anybody says or thinks, that's why you play the games, so that you have the opportunity to compete and see how you respond to competition. And whether you're a starter or not, the next guy up has an opportunity, if he's proven that he can go in there and play winning football, to get an opportunity if you're not, doing your job and you're not taking ownership and being accountable and you're prepared to go out there and play well. You owe that to the rest of your teammates. I owe it to every player on the team to play the best players. And if a guy hasn't done that, then somebody else should play. So I think there's competition, whether there's a depth chart or not, or whether we have a slash or not. So I know that's hard when you guys, you believe the written word. You believe the written word. Even though sometimes, I don't know if you can believe the written word that I read from you.
Okay, Coach, that was it.
All right,
Thank
see you.